If you haven't watched the first part, I would like to request you and watch those first. Click on the link over here to watch them. So, continuing where we left off, Shiv returned to the camp. His wounds were being dressed. But when Nandi came to know of this attack, he was utterly shameful of himself for letting his lord Vanda alone. He suspected the attacker to be a Naga. From the information Shiv gave him regarding the attacker's bracelet, there were 3 serpents forming Om symbol on it. Within a week, they reached Devgiri. Shiv was dazzled at the sheer brilliance of Meluhan. The reason was that even in those times, houses were built in grids. There were 3 platforms, namely Tamra, Rajat and Swarna, which were bronze, silver and gold respectively. Also the bricks used were of exactly same dimensions. There was a large gate on the entrance to the gate, imprinted with the classical Suryavanshi symbol of sun radiating its beam in all directions, along with their motto, Satya Dharma Man, which literally translates to truth, duty and honor. Shiv resided in a guest house for night. Talking to himself, he decided to search in the city for Lady Sati as soon as the meeting with Emperor was done. All the fond memories at the temple flashed before his eyes. Next morning, as they reached Swarna or gold platform, he was surprised, not by the luxury of royalty, but by conspicuous simplicity of royals. The only thing that differentiated the Tamra and the Rajat platforms from the Swarna platform was the great public bath. As Shiv and Nandi entered the palace, they spotted Emperor Daksha sitting on the other end of the hallway, accompanied by 2 of his ministers, Kanakhala, the Prime Minister, and General Parvateshwar, Chief of Armed Forces. Nandi unfolded the saffron cloth around Shiv's neck. Daksha and Kanakhala looked stunned. Daksha even touched his throat, and it was truly blue from inside, not due to some kind of dye. He quickly came to his senses and asked Shiv to return next day, so that they can discuss in detail. As Shiv left, Daksha bent down and touched the place where Shiv was standing with his forehead. Kanakhala questioned why didn't he declare the arrival of Neelkanth. Daksha replied saying, what if Shiv doesn't accept all of these sudden revelations as his destiny? He was confident that Shiv's leadership would end this Chandravanshi crisis and agonies they inflicted upon the Meluhans, from terrorist attacks to shortage of somras and killing of Saraswati river. As Shiv's belongings were being transferred to royal guest house, he was sitting in garden. He heard voices of a guru instructing his disciple to bring emotion into the dance that she was performing, except the fact that it was technically correct. Shiv was quick to guess from voice itself that the disciple was none other than Lady Sati herself. Following the voice, he reached the small platform where she was practicing. As always, she was accompanied by her friend Kritika. Lady Sati was flabbergasted when Shiva showed up, and even more when he complied with what Guruji said. To prove his point, he had to dance. Shiv started with some unusual poses, which were unknown to Sati. Shiv's dance conveyed variety of feelings. He was immersed into it. Later, Guruji revealed that the pose Shiv took before the commencement of dance was the Nataraj pose, in which the dancer aligned himself with the universe's energy. Guruji even offered that if Sati wished, she could learn dance from Shiv himself, but Sati withdrew herself, seeking apology and continued, maybe I don't possess the skill. She gave up on dancing. Shiv spotted the rare signs of vulnerability in the proud woman for the first time ever. Shiv reached to meet Daksha, Parvateshwar and Kanakhala as proposed the earlier day. He was welcomed by Daksha and asked whether if he had any questions. Due to his observant nature, Shiv questioned Emperor what his age was, recalling the previous conversation when Nandi had told him that he was searching for Neelkanth since last 100 years. Daksha replied with a conspiratorial grin on his face. Last month I turned 184 years old. What? Shiv exclaimed. He believed it to be dark magic, but Daksha clarified that it was due to SHIV'S, the drink of gods, which was invented by one of the greatest scientists ever lived, Lord Brahma. In order to propagate the knowledge of SHIV'S and his other inventions further, Lord Brahma did a countrywide survey and selected 7 adolescent boys with impeccable character. He took them to his ashram, mentored them expertly, and laid a wide set of rules for them, verifying that his inventions aren't used for evil purposes. This group was administered with SHIV'S and came to be known by the name Saptarishis. However, not everyone had access to SHIV'S, but in today's Meluha, everyone seemed to have consumed SHIV'S. It was only possible due to a revolution. Lord Ram, his visions, amendments, and leadership improved the condition of Meluha drastically, and that itself had altered the course of history. As it was third Prahar, everyone invited Shiv to have lunch with them in dining room, but he denied, saying that he had some more pressing engagements. Of course, he was expected to meet Sati like the previous day. Shiv's denial to Emperor's offer enraged Parvateshwar and Kanakhala, but Daksha signaled them to be quiet with his glare. He granted permission to Shiv for leaving as kindly as he could. By now, Parvateshwar had seriously started doubting whether Shiv can be Neelkanth or not. Shiv came to the garden searching for Lady Sati, but to his utter despair, she wasn't there. He and Nandi left to discover Devgiri mood. Parvateshwar arranged a meeting with Daksha privately to aware him about the issues the proposed Neelkanth, Shiv was causing. He reported that Chinardhwaj, more about him later, had arrived and saw Shiv dancing in garden the previous day, where Sati was observing him with rapt attention. Daksha sarcastically questioned, "Is Neelkanth not allowed to dance?" Parvateshwar continued. Chinardhwaj noticed that while Sati stuck to her manners, as she left, Shiv mumbled something to himself. "Holy lake, help me get her. I will not ask for anything else from you ever again." Daksha was delighted to know the possibility of his lord loving his daughter. Parvateshwar was agnostic and warned, "You know that Sati cannot marry." Daksha replied that if Neelkanth wants to, there is no law in the land that can stop him. The general countered it by saying, "Not even Lord Ram is above the law. Then who the hell that barbarian is?" This offended Daksha, and he asked Parvateshwar whether or not you care for Sati's happiness. Parvateshwar, calming his senses, said, "I love her like the daughter I never had. Your Highness, I could do anything for her, except break the law." These were the first signs of emotion in Parvateshwar's eyes. But Daksha was furious and replied, "That's the difference. She is my flesh and blood, and has already suffered a lot. I can do anything for her, no matter what the consequences are." As Shiv and Nandi were strolling on the streets of Devgiri, there was an announcement. "Procession of Vikarma women, please move." Naturally, Shiv asked Nandi, "What is Vikarma?" Nandi started explaining that according to Meluhans, Vikarmas are those people who have to face the punishment of their sins of their previous lives in this lifetime. The obvious question from Shiv was, how are the Vikarmas identified? Nandi said that if a woman gives birth to a stillborn baby, she is considered to be a Vikarma, and if a man is contracted with some incurable disease, he is a Vikarma. They aren't allowed to marry since they might poison their partner's life due to their bad fate. It all seemed ridiculous to Shiva. But Nandi's explanation to this was, why would universe punish these people with something so horrific until they have done something bad? During this conversation, Shiv had completely unseen Sati, draped in a holy blue angavastram, just like other ladies, with her face resigned of dignity, standing in the middle of procession. The next morning, Shiv, Nandi, Parvateshwar, Kanakhala, and Emperor Daksha were seated in Emperor's private office, and the discussion continued Daksha briefed Shiv about how the rigorous examination process for Brahmins and other castes according to their profession had lost its credibility. Lord Ram had to go on war with these rebellious ones, and by winning it, he restored the equilibrium to the society. However, being a large-hearted monarch, he even let the surviving rebels vanquish, and those are the ones who formed Chandravanshis. No morals, no honor, no dignity. Treacherous and selfish. Lord Ram then devised the Maika system so that the caste system doesn't become rigid. According to it, when a mother is about to deliver a child, she has to travel to Maika, a place, rather, a grand hospital where the baby is delivered. Nobody except the mother is allowed in Maika. However, this law was corrupted when the families of noble women were allowed to stay in Maika, and this change was made only a few centuries ago. Parvateshwar was clearly annoyed of this corruptive change. Further, the mother is allowed to stay with baby for a few weeks and then she departs. The child will be looked after by the efficient and trained professionals. All children would be given the same education and facilities, ensuring zero discrimination. At the age of 15, they have to give a test where they are allowed caste according to their performance or karma. Henceforth, till the age of 16, they are trained to be best in their attained profession. Then the parents who wish to adopt the children according to preferred caste would come to take them home. However, no one knew who the real parents were. This system was for the greater good, as it was third Prahar. Like the previous 2 days, Daksha asked Shiv whether he had to attend other pressing engagements. Parvateshwar smiled at Daksha disapproving, as he got his selfish motive. Shiv was quite happy to leave and followed the beats of Damru to the garden. Shiv's face brightened as he met Sati there. Guruji asked whether Sati would like to perform. She nodded. Everyone was happy and satisfied to see that Sati had improved. Now she was technically right, as well as fueled by emotions too. As Shiv approached her, she started to get anxious. And talked to herself. Why do I get this awkward feeling whenever Shiv is around? It's fine until he maintains safe distance. Be calm, Sati. Everything is fine. Shiv was complimenting Sati for her perfection, and as he wanted to correct the angle of her elbow, while the downswing, he touched it and brought it to the right position. Everybody's expression, including Sati, Guruji, and Kritika, went from happy to horrified at the instance when Shiv touched Sati. Guruji was the first one to come to his senses and advised Shiv to get Shuddhikaran or purification done before the nightfall. Sati disengaged. Tears in her eyes. Sati disengaged with tears in her eyes and returned to palace, saying, I would never be able to forgive myself if anything happens to you because of me. Shiv was thrown off guard. At night, he was lying on his bed and obviously didn't get the Shuddhikaran done. He was thinking, I want to touch her in every possible way for my lifetime, and would I have to get this ridiculous Shuddhikaran done every time I touch her in the name of Holy Lake? Damn it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the second part, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. Click on the bell icon to receive notification for upcoming parts where the true journey of NEELKANTH, also known as Lord Shiv, will begin onto his mission. If you have any questions regarding the story, put them up in the comments. I would be more than happy to answer. Thanks for watching.